You know, there's been lots of games that got rebooted, and some of them are long forgotten and left behind the dust to never get a decent amount of sequels out there. They're long and forgotten games, like this one. If you can't tell what this is, you'll probably see this character's name and really well animated cutscene, which I'm showing in this manga and CD game. This is our hero, Bubba, and his little sidekick friend, Stix, by the company Core. This one's on both consoles, manga and Sega Genesis. We're focusing on the Sega Genesis one because it shows better quality animation. Like any classic 90s games, it has a pretty good soundtrack. Really good soundtrack, if I get this thing to play right away. Just gonna... Excuse me for a second. Sorry, this thing... Well... What? Sorry about that. Now then, here's the game. Like any classic games from the early 80s and 90s, this is basically a platforming game. It's plain and simple. You're playing Bubba, which is the blondie hero kid, and that's barefooted. And then it's up to him to get off this weird-looking planet with weird-looking aliens, and you have to solve these strange puzzle games. And that's basically it. You also have to collect those weird-looking blue, green, and red blobs to earn up high scores. Not to mention this game is pretty short, or you could probably beat this game in probably less than an hour. Also, not to mention it's weird. Really weird. And during a racing minigame too. As I was saying, there's like several levels. Let's jump in here and there. And find enemies if your only weapon is the stick. Stix. It's that you can only use throughout the entirety of the game. And for some apparent reason, swing around like a boomerang. Yeah, I know, it's pretty weird. And not to mention this game doesn't get that much reviews for the past years ago. I do like this character's design, being all tall, all in fat, and have well designed smooth animation on his bottom side. If our hero runs out of health, which is right where I'm playing that, and let me just close that. Right here it says life health bar. If it reaches down to 0, he'll die in a weird way possible. There's not much else to say about this game. It's just basically a platforming game. So you had to make sure you make it throughout the entirety of the game surviving. avoiding the villain who's trying to destroy him. Speaking of the villain, he captures like weird-looking creatures, including our main hero from planet Earth, who's trying to escape some weird-looking planet with other creatures that come to life, including trees, bushes, and other strange things happen. In the next level, which is a basically underground hot lava place, you can use stix as your so-called acrobaticness and testing your balance. But this game is no laughing matter on how hard it gets later on, especially the final stage. There are like different several levels. Not only that there's like a lava stage, there's also underwater stage, Wars level, factory, and the final level of the game, where you face a final boss. Disappointingly, this game doesn't have too many boss battles. It just go to point A to point B, and you're avoiding all the lasers and lots of deadly traps in the last stage that wants you dead. So make sure you get enough lives, but if you use them all up, you can still use a password and continue right where you're at. The final boss can be very tough, so be careful with his evil machine that'll destroy you for good. And avoid his attacks. Whack it with the stick as much as you can. Ending this insane adventure you've been through all this time. And just like that, you're being a pretty worthy, tough game out there. The Genesis has just still image on the cutscenes. The game just ends right here, and they become close friends. And removes a helmet, and it turns out to be a tiny, weird, snake-headed person, and they become friends. There are minor differences to the Genesis and this one that has different soundtrack and animation that looks a little bit like Earthworm Jim's cartoon. So the game is actually good. Yeah, I'm saying it to notice that this game existed from the late 90s. This is pretty much a long forgotten game that nobody remembers or know existed. Heck, I forgot it existed when I first saw it. And being actually an interesting game. Unlike the Sega Genesis, this one on manga has a bit of voice acting. While on the Genesis you just hear some sound effects. Hold on, I'm trying to... Hold on. I'm trying to get to the end part. That there's like minor differences to the Genesis and the manga. Those animated cutscenes. They're actually animated pretty well. Yet there are minor differences. The Genesis looks a little bit blurry, but the manga shows a little bit brighter. Yep, on here it actually just ends him returning him to planet Earth. So I can give Bubba and Stix a 7 out of 10, and being a pretty good, great game, fun platforming, good game controls, amazingly great graphics. Thanks, I'll end it off of a pretty great way possible. See you then, mates. Thanks, leave a like and subscribe if you like this interesting review and not noticing that this game existed. On both consoles, apparently. See you then.